Hello. Welcome to the first Anarchy Monk Friends Roundtable discussion of the year. Before we get started, let me first remind you that we are covered by the BitCot No Government License, which allows for the use and reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for government and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also protected by Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to, incited, or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Monk Friends Roundtable Discussion is entirely hypothetical. This is episode 163, I think.
Maybe.
That was right.
Probably.
Something like that. 63, 64, 60 something. It's not 69 yet because that would be nice. But we do have a special guest, the Oklahomie. Who the hell are you? Why are you here? What do you do?
Why am I here? I got bullied into being here after so long. Internet bullying really works. If anyone wants to know, we've done it. We did it for the Sonic movie, and I somehow, some way, the Liberty Movement has now bullied me into coming on to this podcast. So it's been a long time coming.
Throw out your plugs real quick. What do you got?
Do what?
Throw out your plugs, your links.
Oh, my butt plugs are at the Redacted Okie on Twitter. Good luck finding me on Facebook because I never have a permanent profile because it goes through permabans. And I don't really use Instagram that much, so mainly you're going to find me on Twitter at the Redacted Okie, or you can go watch me live every Monday on the Not a Real Libertarian podcast or network with the show Not a Real Liberty Luau. Name is in the process of being changed. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but no, every Monday 6 o'clock Central. Find me on the Not a Real Liberty Luau on the Not a Real Libertarian network. If you can't watch it live, go to the not a real podcast.com to watch all episodes before, if you want to watch them through video. And if not, just find us on Spotify, all the major fucking podcast plugs, Apple, Google, whatever.
Yeah, they're as professional as we are on that front.
I'm the most professional non-professional there is.
What?
Did you not join the Getter train? You're not on Getter yet?
No, I keep seeing everybody going to that, but I'm not actually on it. I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you.
It's basically the same as Twitter.
It's Twitter. It's Twitter. I downloaded the app and looked, and it was like 15 minutes later, and I was like, "This is no different."
It's the same.
Yeah,
same, but different. But still
yeah,
same.
well, it's run. I mean, it's a Fed run thing for sure.
They're all
tell,
fucking honeypots, man.
Yeah, but I mean, this one especially, like, it's all like neocons on it initially, and it's like run by a neocon, and
like you've seen this 10-year challenge thing going around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Post a picture of you today and post a picture of you 10 years ago. Come on.
We got to update our facial recognition database.
Not only that, but like it updates it helps update the accuracy of the facial recognition software.
Well, I mean, I have an iPhone, the Pro Max, that has facial recognition for me to even unlock it. So, I mean, they've been doing it before this whole 10-year challenge. So I'm not going to participate in Mark Zuckerberg's 10-year challenge for him to know me in the metaverse.
Oh,
I look forward to hacking the metaverse so much. You don't want
to get virtually groped in the metaverse?
No, I want to virtually shit inside the metaverse Walmart.
I just because it's all the VR stuff. Like, I really want to hack it and like make it a horrible acid trip perpetually. So like you go into the Walmart and like the walls are bleeding and shit. Like, I got so many plans.
Wait for the virtual Tool concert.
Mm-hmm.
No. What is that? Oh, freedom over everything. That's isn't that one that you sell on the site?
Oh, you mean the site that we all got robbed from? Yeah, that's what they still sell on the site.
Oh, that site. That's right. That's that other site. We're not gonna plug that site.
No, we're not gonna plug that bitch in her fucking bullshit.
No. I
If
thought that
anyone's
was the
watching, you know
one
what it
on,
is. It's all corrupt. Your money is going into her pocket and not the actual organization. And I was misled, and so that's my fault. If anyone ever wants to know the story on that, please feel free to message me.
If you know,
But
you
no,
know.
I still have the shirt. I still like the shirt. The only thing I don't like is that it's fucking tagged on the back with the fucking organization name, and so now I got to figure out how to bleach that out. I like the shirt in general. Like, it's soft and it fits really well. It's I don't like the fucking brand on the back.
Yeah, I brought it up. I thought it was something on that not a real podcast.
No, I don't have
Not a
any
real
product on
libertarian
there. No, I don't have any product on there. Yet I still haven't made my profile on there yet.
No. So yeah, we're off to a roaring start. I can't even think. I can't even think. Like, I'm still like on the tail end of the COVID thing. So
my
brain's
both
still
hit by the fucking Autobots or the Decepticons, or
I think I had the Omni, which is like, it felt like a sinus infection. It wasn't bad. Like, I went down for like 3 days, took some big naps, and okay, that was it.
Yeah,
I've worked with
Szechuan flu. Yeah, the Szechuan flu isn't that bad. I mean, at this point, it's when I had it, I had the whatever the original variant was, and that one sucked because I lost all of my taste and smell for a good like 3.5 months. But I mean, my sense of taste kind of came back, but it's permanently screwed up, which really sucks. Like, permanently screwed up. Like, I finally now garlic and onions smell correct now and just don't smell like literal human shit.
I love food too much. That sucks.
That one sucked. Like, I still had my sense of smell and all that. Never went away. Like, it's the only reason I took a shower was because I could smell myself from laying in bed for 3 days. But anyway, let's jump onto one of these articles. I wanted to bring up Bob Saget. Yes, that kind of sucks, actually. I mean, he wasn't a big star.
Well, I had initially kind of chuckled and been like, "Oh, hey, well, at least now we won't have to get any shitty Full House sequels or anything else now." And then Lindsay pointed out that the last one was really more about the kids' families, and so he didn't really play a big role anyway. And I was like, "Son of a bitch, we're still going to get more." Now they're going to do a fucking memorial episode. God damn it!
Oh yeah, they are probably that the dad died because it's Fuller House and I don't remember who's fucking running it. I don't know what kid it is. Is it? I don't know if it was DJ or if it was Stephanie, or it ain't the Crack twins. It's got to be the other two.
Well, yeah, they did the joke on the one and only episode of it that I saw, the first one, where they're just like, "Oh, where is is it Michelle? I think it's Michelle." Yeah. And like, "Oh yeah, she was too busy with her running her new fashion empire to bother to come home and see us." And then the whole cast turns and looks at the camera and kind of and then goes back to what they're doing.
That's like I remember Roseanne, the older daughter, like, contract was up or something, and she disappeared, and they replaced her with someone else. And then they got the contract situated, and the original older sister came back, and it's like the first scene of the episode where she's back, and the middle sister looked at her and goes, "Where the fuck have you been?"
It's that, and also when Roseanne caught all the legal shit when she used some kind of racial slur somewhere, and they killed her off on the show. She died or something like that, and so they carried on with the show. They just killed her off.
No. All right. Quick note. Tomorrow, January 10th, is the anniversary of the release of Thomas Paine's Common Sense. So go read Common Sense if you haven't. It'll be in the description. A link to it.
You have to have common sense to read Common Sense.
You have to you have to be able to interpret things to read Common Sense.
Well, I mean, Yeah, they were their prose was much more eloquent. I mean, that's one of the things, like, if you go back and you read letters from even like Civil War soldiers from the American Civil War home, like the prose is such beautiful writing, and like these guys had the equivalent of like a third grade education, but they were still writing so well. And so, I mean, what they say is so perfectly put and beautiful and moving and things, and it's like, how far have we fallen? Look at this. That was long before the National School Board was established, and everyone actually had an education. You could actually write and like write well, versus now where people can't figure out the difference between lose and loose.
Well, that's back when education was actually education.
Well, yeah, because you didn't have a centralized federal authority in charge of it.
True. But where do you guys want to start? We can start in Oklahoma, Denver, or we can start with the main article.
The only thing I know that's happening, or back in my hometown, I guess, a councilman. Oh, who do you know, if you go to jail, gets bonded out over the weekend?
Over the weekend?
Over the weekend?
Nobody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Lawton, Oklahoma, my hometown, which is about an hour and a half away from Oklahoma City. A councilman was bonded out over the weekend.
What a load of shit.
Yeah, tell me that's not abuse of power. That's bullshit.
We're gonna go in a different direction. State senator files bill to give Oklahoma sheriffs power to arrest federal officers and form posses against federal agents.
So we're gonna have state militias.
Yeah, so this
that'll be interesting.
Well, the sheriff, the county sheriff, is the highest elected official in the county. Right? That's what it was such a big deal over when Aria was running up there in New Hampshire. Right, and her big thing was like, no concession to federal agencies. Right, and as the sheriff, she would have that power to do that. But Oklahoma State Senator,
too bad that she didn't win, because that was a glorious campaign too. Like the county sheriff running with signs that said ACAB and FTP, and then when she gets the Republican nomination, she's like, "I mean, it's your fault. You guys don't pay any attention."
Yeah. Oklahoma State Senator filed 3 bills designed to increase the power wielded by Oklahoma sheriffs, including bills that empower sheriffs to arrest federal officers who attempt to confiscate guns. State Senator Nathan Dahm, a Republican out of Broken Arrow, filed the bills on Thursday. Quote, I've heard from numerous sheriffs and constituents across the state who are concerned at the constant ignoring of our Constitution happening by this rogue regime. The Second Amendment was never solely about hunting unless you're referring to hunting tyrants. It was about the people being able to protect themselves against the government who would seek to disarm them. Well, that is spicy.
That is very spicy.
That is some spicy language. So, Senate Bill 1200 requires federal agents and officers to receive permission from the county sheriff before operating in the county. Senate Bill 1201 expands the sheriff's ability to form a posse to include prohibiting agents, employees, and officers of the federal government from violating the constitutional rights of people in the county. Quote, the full totalitarian leftist takeover of society has been predicated on the confiscation of firearms. Thankfully, in Oklahoma, we have county sheriffs who would never allow that to take place, but we must do everything to help them stand up for our rights, and this bill further enables them to do that.
I mean, but would they never allow that to take place? I feel like that is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, it's
almost like they're just forming some kind. They're just putting that out there. Just in the long run, it's going to be just to keep whatever Republican in when it comes time to vote again. That it's the same shit happens when it's any other public official. Is that they will pander to the masses what they want to hear just to gather that vote, and then sweep the leg right out from underneath them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's
they talk about Constitution, but then they'll take federal dollars and they'll also enforce like, drug laws,
Mhm.
Or immigration laws or any of that
Hell,
stuff.
drug laws
So,
specifically through the state of Oklahoma. I'm constantly seeing grow houses getting raided and things confiscated by there's a whole bureau up here that goes through, but there's massive grow houses, and it's a lot of the Asian community that's even running these grow houses, and of course then it turns into a whole racial thing on some ends and all that. And then I've told people like, but these people aren't hurting. If they're, it doesn't matter if they're Asian. If it's a grow house, like it's not affecting you. Well, we can't. We're not. It's pretty much they're not gaining anything off of it, so therefore they have to shut it down.
yeah, the no tax money. Twig pigs have way too much power in Oklahoma. Right, the fish and game, Bureau of Land Management, Natural Resources. Right, those. I mean, they have.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, everywhere that has a reason to have a major twig pig presence. So, like up here in Wisconsin, because we have the North Woods, and we have, there's this huge variety of hunting and fishing and all these other activities. The DNR has insane power to basically, like, they don't need a warrant to search you if you're out hunting. Like, automatically hunting is implied consent according to the law for them to be able to search you.
Speaking of law, you guys know today is a National Law Enforcement Day, right?
I did not.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I saw that today, and I said, I can't believe that bootlicking is an actual holiday now.
Well, I mean,
well, no, reading the comments, because after I found out today, it blew my mind. I thought it was funny. Oh shit! There went my camera. Hold up.
Oh, I have to show that. I guess.
Yep.
Oh,
where do I hit? I don't know.
Hold on.
It's not important. But my response to the red coat.
What is that one? Oh, that's the new one, right?
No, I've had this one for a little while. The Ahoy retard.
Ahoy retard, yeah. I got the ATF red coat one from Poppins.
Yep, I got that one.
Yeah. You see his new one that's out? Poppins' new one?
I don't know if I've seen his absolute latest one yet.
Never bring a skateboard to a gunfight.
Oh yeah, that one.
Oh goodness.
It's like the world's most dangerous version of rock, paper, scissors, and gun wins.
Yeah. This last quote is from Michael Crispin, University of Oklahoma professor of political science and director and curator of the Carl Albert Constitutional Research and Studies Center. Quote, there can be a fine line between pandering and legitimate legislation. There is probably a subset of the population that would be happy if these bills were to pass, become law, and view these bills as legitimate legislation. The Republican Party has a supermajority in the legislature, so there is some possibility of these bills that can gain traction. That being said, proposing legislation that is clearly aimed at the far right of the Republican Party and earns a great deal of media attention and potentially fundraising activity, which is what he said, which is what Nick said. No,
we lost him.
No, okay, it looks like he's back now.
Oh, there we go.
Are you back?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, I hit like the wrong I hit the wrong wire, and it shut my whole shit down.
Oh, okay.
Oops.
All right. Yeah,
I don't.
But yeah, I thought that article was kind of nice because of those quotes. But yeah, exactly what you said about the pandering. That's it gets, the last paragraph in this article calls it out pandering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, in general, when we see stuff like that, when we see something that's like this kind of, very in your face about anti-gun confiscation laws or anti-federal enforcement laws and stuff, it's a populist move. It has nothing to do with what they actually want to do. It has everything to do with they just want to make sure they maintain their own power. And as soon as they actually get in, they do nothing. I mean, look at what Biden did with all of his shit, where he's like, oh, we're going to, stop funding the wall, and we're going to stop denying people immigration entry. And
we're going to cancel student loan debt.
Yeah, I say that. I say that here in California. California, the Democrats have a supermajority in the House and the Senate, and then they have Governor Newsom, right? Who's also Democrat. So like we have this huge homeless problem in California.
Yeah,
and California has like a $30 billion budget surplus. Like they could literally throw all this money to homelessness if they wanted to. Because
but they won't.
like legislatively nobody can stop them. However, if they did that, then they wouldn't be able to grandstand on homelessness and all that stuff come election time. They wouldn't be able to say, look, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to help the homeless, because it wouldn't be an issue anymore, right?
Well, Pelosi and Newsom can't allow that to happen.
God, I can't.
Well, it's been a problem in California for a long time. Remember, there was a South Park episode years ago with they did the California. It's getting to the homeless.
took all the hippies and the homeless out to California from Colorado.
Yeah, where they're who is it? Is that Kyle's dad? That's like, it's like I just need some change. Change.
Yeah. Well, no, was I think it was Stan's dad.
That was Stan's dad? Okay.
I think so.
One of them.
Yeah. But where he loses his house because of the drop in property values, and he starts.
No, it was
everyone
Kyle's.
just chipped in.
Kyle's.
Okay, yeah. If everyone just chipped in, then and it starts begging for change, they blow his head off with a shotgun. He'd changed. It's a fucking zombie movie.
But it's all pandering, because that's all that politicians really do. There's very few politicians that say what they want to do, right? Like, I mean, Ron Paul. Like, I love Ron Paul. All of his ANCAPs do. All of his anarchists do. The guy didn't accomplish anything. He didn't stop anything.
Nope. Not a single.
No, but he had an awesome platform.
Mm-hmm. Awesome platform. Cool. But he didn't stop anything.
He's very edgy, like when he speaks, like when he discusses against.
When he called them all fucking liars and thieves on the congressional floor. Oh, so I do miss his speeches.
Oh yeah, when he got called a racist, so he simply posted a picture of him with his free clinic for blacks in like the early 1970s with with a bunch of them in his doctor's office, and he's like, yeah, I'm really racist.
He's not a real doctor. And then it's like, what?
Oh, yeah. That was Rand too, where Rand said something about I think about COVID, and somebody said, when did Rand Paul become a doctor? And he just replied with like 1987 or something. And I got it past all of my
literally a picture of him in scrubs. Yeah. It's like that lady telling Eric July, let the black people speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I love those. Oh, Eric July gets that so much too, where he'll say something and people will be like, oh, you and your white privilege. And he's like, what the fuck, I'm black.
Wow. So I don't know, it kind of leads into this other article. I'm dragging ass. I'm sorry.
You act like you have somewhere to be.
I'm still down for this COVID stuff. I have no energy, but
should have had a B8.
Yeah. I picked a bad year to quit drinking. A bad decade. Bad decade to quit drinking.
Bad decade.
It's been a few years.
Worst New Year's resolution ever.
No, I quit 2016? 2016. So I ended up after an episode of Anarchy Among Friends where I was sipping on moonshine, I ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, trying to do that sometimes.
Yeah, but down the barrel of a gun, how Second Amendment activism can be a gateway to extremist ideologies.
That ideology right there.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
So this is by Will Carless of the USA Today. But the Atlanta Gun Show, held over the weekend in late September, had everything one might need for a coming apocalypse or civil war. Flamethrowers, hundreds of rifles, thousands of handguns and knives, body armor, survival kits, medical supplies.
Sounds like my kind of
Sprinkled
party.
amongst sounds like a good weekend. Sprinkled among swords, boxes of sutures, and night vision goggles were the insignia of modern extremist far right. Bright yellow patches for the Oath Keepers militia group,
The Proud
holsters,
Boys.
and clothing engraved with the logo of the extremist 3%ers. A stall on the back sold back copies of the Anarchist cookbook, which describes how to make homemade bombs, along with a book called The Competent High Explosive Mixtures.
Wait, did you say 3%ers?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this article's already shit.
That's the point. That's
Yeah.
the point. We're gonna have
No, I know the article was already shit, but the fact that they threw in the fucking threepers on this whole fucking ordeal.
yeah, the extremist far right Oath Keeper militia group, and then extremist 3%ers.
Yeah,
I
those
can't stand
Reapers are
fucking
so
Reapers.
extreme.
And wait a minute, you said night vision goggles?
Right?
Okay, so that's definitely a fucking funded operation because poors cannot afford night vision.
It's in Atlanta, so it's possible.
Oh, I'm economically challenged and I still can't fucking purchase
They probably
You
they probably
could
they
afford
probably fell
Gen
off
1.
they probably fell off a truck at Fort Bragg.
in a full sealed crate, it perfectly landed right there outside their meeting.
Yeah. Hey man, there's a history of that happening at Fort Bragg.
That's where I was born.
That.
Fort Bragg. That was where I was born.
There's a lot of equipment
Vietnam.
that falls off. There's a lot of equipment that falls off trucks in San Diego.
Well, Bragg's notorious for it because Bragg's where there was that bust back in the 80s where a group of special forces soldiers were actually retailing things like grenades and RPGs and AT4s and stuff to people. And the guy who actually helped bust it was, I forget his name, but a little tiny dude. He's actually the shortest special forces soldier ever. He was like 4'8" or 4'9", little tiny dude. There's a documentary about him called The Giant Killer. He was actually assassinated by most likely the Central Intelligence Agency.
Yeah. So, all right, here's this next part. Its article gets so good. Gun shows like this have long been part of the connective tissue between mainstream conservatism and the American extremist movement. The vast majority of gun owners are law-abiding citizens, but experts and former members of the extremist far right said a passion for gun rights often serves as a gateway to radicalization, one eagerly exploited by the recruiters and leaders in the movement. Okay. The leaders and recruiters of 3%ers, of Oath Keepers, are federal informants.
I was going to say they work for a 3-letter agency called the FBI.
Just ask what's his name from the Proud Boys. What was it? Enrique?
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name, but he had been an FBI informant for years.
What is it, like 10 of the 14 Wolverine Watchmen with Gretchen, with the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot? Like 10 of the 14 were feds or fed informants.
That was the one. She's the mayor or whatever.
The governor of Michigan.
The governor of Michigan.
Yeah,
it was I think it was 12 of 14 if I remember right. It was 12 out of 14.
Something like
that.
They had talked about kidnapping the governor or mayor or whatever, and they were all charged with a bunch
of BS. But like the one guy that they said planned everything, like they literally openly called retard to his face. Like they would he would say something and they'd literally be like, "Okay, retard." I'm not joking. This was in a recent article. And then the one of the other key informants, federal informants, that they had gun charges on him. They're now accusing him of destroying evidence to protect the people that were in the plot and not turning them over to the FBI. And then like the federal agent, like the one federal agent, he was like arrested for beating up his girlfriend because she wasn't into a swinger party. And then there was another one that was arrested for like having a side gig, using federal information to run a side gig. And the whole fucking case is just trash. It is
it's funny too because
everything is a Fed plot in that.
Yeah, the funny thing too about it is that like the news articles initially acted like this was this, like January 6th thing, right? Like they acted about the Whitmer case the same way that they did January 6th. And now that more and more is coming out about how they were all federal informants and it was just one federal informant entrapping a bunch of other federal informants who are also trying to entrap everybody else, and it all keeps coming out. Like now the articles are talking about how what seemed like a slam dunk case seems to have completely fallen apart. It's like, yeah, because now it's all coming out that literally everyone involved was a Fed.
Like when the Detroit police ran a drug sting on the county drug unit who was running a sting on the Detroit police.
Yeah,
right,
a bunch of cops pretending to be drug dealers busted a bunch of cops pretending to be drug traffickers. Yeah.
Your tax dollars.
Well, no, there was the other one too when they had they showed the people that had been arrested for the whole Capitol rioting. People had shown up like a few months later to protest or whatever to show their support of those people didn't need to be arrested or whatever. And there were like several people that were arrested by federal agents that were federal agents. It was a whole Fed boy like palooza, and they got busted for someone had dropped. It's the same concept, but they don't communicate on who. They don't know who is undercover, who's what, and that's just another reason why to abolish all of them.
Yep. Good segue.
Yeah,
good segue.
Yeah, they're only busting each other.
For decades, extremists have been recruiting and radicalizing supporters with the fear of the government is intent on taking Americans' guns away, says Daryl Lamont Jenkins, an activist who has tracked white supremacists since the 1990s. Quote, remember, you're talking about a circle of people who feel they need to fight a civil war. So yeah, they're going to be all about their guns. This is just a way to galvanize people, and galvanization is very important to these people. For decades, extremists have been recruiting and radicalizing supporters with the fear of the government as it's taking away people's guns. Because they have.
Yeah.
Like, Ruby Ridge. Hello, Waco. Hello. Is this thing on? Like, that's Waco. Literally, Waco was about guns.
Yeah, it was about taking away their guns, which were all legal.
Ruby Ridge, they tried to entrap him with a firearm.
If gaslighting was an article, this would be it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they keep talking about how they're going to take away people's guns
because
they literally take away people's guns.
If you ever had opened a fucking history book, or no, don't even open a history book because it's all fucking planned it out like how what they want you to learn. If you actually just type in guns being taken away from people, you will land upon articles of several incidents where people's guns were taken away, where their rights were infringed upon. And that's exactly why people in the liberty movement do advocate against any government overreach, why we're so hostile. And hostile is a calm word to even use, because we're not even hostile. We just let it's there to be known. Like there's a line drawn. Like, fuck around, find out. I mean, we have decades of shit that's gone down like this.
Yeah. All right. This is, I said this article just gets better and better and better. A gun owner and marksman himself, Jenkins, this is the guy that was just speaking, remember seeing extremist literature at gun shows as early as the mid-1990s. What happened in the early 1990s?
Gee, I don't know. Waco, Ruby Ridge.
Yeah. Quote, the first time I went to a gun show was in 1995, and one tape I purchased was an Alex Jones VHS tape.
I hope he held on to that because that's a collectible.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, that thing needs to be in some sort of a case. Like that is an
Put
ancient
that in the time
artifact
capsule.
now.
Put that in the
Yeah.
time capsule.
Yeah. Quote, there was a guy that had a table and had all kinds of weird stuff. And it goes on to say Jones has built a career on fear mongering, including over gun control.
It's funny how often somebody who's right keeps saying things.
We're going to point out fear mongering when it's people. Yeah, if it's not a news media outlet, it's fear mongering. But when any media does it, it's not fear mongering. It's fine. Everything's fine. This is fine.
Opponents of gun control have been pushing fears about the government taking away Americans' guns for decades, says Igor Volosky, executive director of Guns Down America, which advocates for stricter gun rules. The National Firearms Act, the Gun Control Act, the Brady Act, the Hughes Amendment, red flag laws. Just a few.
Yeah, like in the late 1980s when people were going, hey, they're gonna take away our machine guns and like they're gonna stop us from being able to buy automatic weapons and that's an infringement. And everyone, no, that's ridiculous. We'd never do that. Cue the Hughes Amendment.
Reagan said, "Hold my dentures. Watch this."
Yeah, well, hold my jelly beans.
He actually wrote a letter to Congress in '93, urging them to pass the assault weapons ban. And that passed in '94.
The fucking Brady Act. Yeah, and that's, and keep in mind, the entire reason that California has the strict gun laws that it does, the one who initially signed those first few in California into law was Ronald fucking Reagan.
And why did he do it? Because minority groups were protecting their own communities from aggressive law enforcement.
He encountered the original Black Panther Party, correct?
Yes, there was an armed protest on the steps of the Capitol building.
Yep, and that's what directly led to those laws, because all gun control is racist, which is what a T-shirt says that I have ordered from Black Rifles Matter.
Wait, Black Rifles Matter or Black Guns Matter?
Black Guns Matter.
Or it's Black Guns. Sorry, Black Guns Matter.
Yeah, Maj Touré.
Okay, if Maj Touré is watching this, and I know he's not, but I just need to put this out there. I ordered "Make Politicians Afraid Again" off of your site. I get an email back after 3 months of no shirt. And I ask you, why haven't I received this? I get told it's out of stock. Then why does your site still show 2 slots that I can buy it, but I cannot receive it? So they email me back. They're like, well, you can just pick a shirt and that we have in stock and we'll get it to you as soon as possible if you don't want to wait. Well, how do I know if it's not in stock? You have the one that I want and it says you're telling me it's out of stock.
Yeah.
That's a personal vendetta. Sorry, when you said that, I'm just.
Oh, it's all good.
I want the same one that you're getting, but I want the one that make politicians afraid again.
Yeah, I got both of mine on the way. Both the Black Guns Matter and an all gun control is racist one.
All right, hold on. Hold that. Quote. This is another quote from Volosky, who wrote or executive director of Guns Down America. Quote. Gun culture and gun rhetoric is itself bathed, saturated in extremist conspiracy theories. With all of these conspiracy theories have in common what all this rhetoric really emphasizes is the fear that a powerful government is going to come in and disarm you and impose their values onto you.
You mean like they have historically forever?
And they're still doing currently.
Yeah.
Oh, those extremist fears, those damn extremists being all like observant of history and
How dare you?
current events.
How
Yeah,
dare you pay attention?
Wait.
Oh,
This
but wait, there's
narrative,
more.
this narrative is limited to fringe media outlets. During the presidency of Barack Obama, when unauthorized militia groups thrived and Americans bought a record number of guns, Wayne LaPierre wrote a book called American Disarmed inside the UN and Obama's scheme to destroy the Second Amendment. They actually cite the NRA.
Now it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
There's that meme that I made a while ago when the New York Attorney General was trying to kill off the NRA, and where I used that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean. The scene from Pirates of the Caribbean with the one pirate with the knife to the guy's throat, and I had New York AG and then the NRA logo over the face of the other guy, and it said something about, and he's like, surrender or I kill the man, and kill him. It says real gun owners. It says kill him. He's not our man.
He's not our man.
None of us care. Go ahead, kill the NRA. I literally could not care less.
I will root for you.
I'll be like, yes.
It would literally help gun rights if the NRA went away.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Remember who back in the 30s? Remember who pushed for the NFA? Remember who pushed for the GCA in '68? That wasn't some, like, the gun owners were anti that and understood why that was a bad idea. But what organization helped co-author those bills? The NRA, who weren't even founded as a gun rights organization. Don't forget, they were founded to promote civilian marksmanship because we weren't intended to have a standing army. And so they were created to help promote this civilian marksmanship so that if we needed to call a bunch of people up for national defense, we had people who already knew how to shoot. That was the whole reason the NRA was founded. It's like going into World War I, we only had an army of what, like 100,000, maybe 100,000. Like, we were a non-entity militarily, as we were meant to be. It wasn't until Wilson and his bullshit that started to change. And even in between World War I and World War II, we went back down to like 100 and 200,000 people in arms.
What's it now? Like total's like 3 million, right? 3.5 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
But the fighting force is like less than 1 million, right? Something like
but I mean, we have so many force multipliers now. You don't need as many people, but
true.
The reality is that we are pretty much, the United States has the most potent military on the face of planet Earth, and it was never supposed to, because hey, the people who had just fought a tyrannical regime that always had a giant standing army understood that standing armies generally were used by tyrants to control the populace. Imagine that.
The next section of this article is actually called "Recruiting the Normies."
Recruiting?
That's our word.
The Normies. Yes. In the aftermath of the January 6th insurrection. Yeah. In the aftermath of the January 6th insurrection, social media companies scrambled to shut down accounts sharing misinformation about the presidential election or seeking to organize anti-government events. There was nothing anti-government about January 6th.
No, it was very much pro-government, and just calling insurrection laughs in Kazakhstani.
Yeah. Those users flocked to a new platform, the secure messaging app Telegram. Yeah, and they call it Terragram. And then some more bullshit, and then there's a picture with a bunch of patches. So we're extremists, Andrew, because we have patches. But guns, the uniform.
There's a patch that I really want that actually says patch whore on it.
Yes.
And I want it in the worst way.
Yes. There's a lot of patches at all. The White House now acknowledges that most of the severe threats from domestic terrorism in the U.S. comes from the far right. In the post-9/11 era, white supremacists and other race-driven terrorists have killed and injured far more people than any other extremist group in the country, according to every trusted tally of domestic extremism.
What?
I'll read that again. The most severe threat from domestic terrorism in the U.S. comes from the far right. In the post-9/11 era, white extremists and other race-driven terrorists have killed and injured far more people than other extremist groups in the country, according to every trusted ally of domestic extremism.
No.
But this,
I mean, maybe trusted by the author of this because they're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I hear that lie constantly repeated too. You know, you hear that all the time with, the domestic right-wing extremist is the greatest threat to our democracy. It's right-wing extremism. It's right-wing domestic terrorism. Dude, the right wing is still pro-government as hell. What do you?
Yeah, you can't put those two words together. It just
it doesn't make sense, does it?
Well,
unless you're a propagandist.
Yeah. Joseph Goebbels is, he is in hell celebrating right now because he's looking at the way the United States is going and going, they read my book.
But the pipeline from Second Amendment activism to extremism isn't exclusively a far-right problem.
Pro clutch.
Yes. On July 13th, 2019, 69-year-old William von Sprosen shot and killed while trying to attack a privately run immigration detention facility in Tacoma, Washington. Van Sprosen was a self-declared supporter of Antifa, a political movement of the far-left militants who oppose white supremacists. He was also an early member of the Puget Sound John Brown Gun Club, a leftist organization that describes itself as, quote, anti-fascist, anti-racist, pro-worker community defense organization.
Wait, are they trying to pretend that the John Brown Gun Club is a terrorist organization?
Extremist.
Oh, okay. But
in farewell letters to friends, von Sprosen wrote that, quote, detention camps are an abomination, and that he is, quote, not standing by. Leftist gun clubs, including several named for Brown, the abolitionist leader, have sprung up across the country the last few years. Armed left-wing activists have patrolled in public spaces and displays more typical of the far right.
They still gotta invoke the far right, even when they're talking about the far left. They still have to try and invoke the far right.
Hold on, this is where the fun really begins. And then there's the Boogaloo Movement, a mismatch of ideologies that is neither far right or far left, but put guns and the Second Amendment firmly at its center. Named for the internet meme, the Boogaloo Movement has been associated with several acts of violence, including a 2020 rampage that left 2 law enforcement officers dead and 4 injured.
It's so terrible.
Yeah, that's not what happened. But...
This is like just the most absurd pearl clutchy load of horse shit I have heard in a while.
You think I'm done?
Oh, but God.
Wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. If you act now, we have even more insanity.
The popularity of guns at both fringes of the political spectrum worries experts like J.J. McNabb, a fellow at George Washington University's program on extremism, who has studied extremists for 25 years.
Dude, McNabb is such an insufferable shit. Like every time I see something from him, I'm like, God, would you just shut up?
Literally the most enthusiastic big government person that there is that's not actually involved in government.
Yeah, that dude, I mean, he's such a hardcore authoritarian, and every single time he writes anything or he publishes anything or he gets interviewed for anything, it's just government bad, people who want to be free, or government good, people who want to be free bad. Every single time, and that's all he has to say. At the core, it's just we need more government because people shouldn't have freedom. Like this dude is so authoritarian.
Yep.
If you actually read a couple of the things he's written,
it's the circular logic thing. People are bad, so we need a government made up of people. People are bad, so we need a government made up of people. People are bad.
Yeah, if you actually read what he writes, like that could have been something published leading up to the October Revolution in the Soviet Union. Like he's so authoritarian, it blows your mind.
Yeah, he definitely studied globals. Let's see, where was I? Joining a group makes you feel powerful, McNabb said. Quote, I'm worried about the street war. I'm worried about two heavily armed groups meeting each other in the streets.
I mean, that sounds like a good fucking time.
As if that wasn't like 2/3 of 2020.
Yeah,
Literally.
I mean, yeah, you had, I mean, hell, that was fucking Ferguson. Are you kidding me? Like, two heavily armed street gangs meeting up with each other.
That was all. I mean, that happened even at what was it, Standing Rock and Flint? Same. Or wait, was it the one where it was the Native Americans going against the government because it was the pipeline? Was that Flint?
That was Standing Rock.
Standing Rock. Okay. Yeah, I mean, same concept.
That's still going on.
Yeah.
Also,
it's not getting covered, but it's still going on. And just like how Andrew said, like last year you had BLM going against the fucking police.
I mean, Portland had a riot declared like 400 something days in a row.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, it's out there.
Well, I mean, and this is all inevitable, right? Like we all knew this was coming because if you understand the Overton window of political speech, you knew this was coming. That as the window was shifted more to the extremes and left centrism out completely, and as that continued, there was no more room. There's increasingly no more room for any middle ground between people. That you were either this or you were that, and it's the exact same thing that you see in the antebellum U.S., where you just see this increasing divide, where everything's shifting more and more extreme to one side or the other. You know, you had the Republicans who were extremely anti-slavery and getting ever more massively anti-slavery and anti-South, and you had the Democrats who were getting ever more pro-slavery to the point where they turned into almost like slavery supremacists, that they wanted slave owners to basically like rule the world. And that started happening, and that's what led directly to the first American Civil War. And so like them calling Boogaloos extremists, we're not extremists, we just see what's coming. We see that this shift is happening, and there's this divide that's growing where there's no room for compromise anymore. There's no room for conversation. There's only room for action. And when that starts to happen, you have to be prepared because it's going to come. It's not that we want to start it. We just know it's coming.
Yeah. What was it? All right, go ahead.
Oh, it just like how you said, it was inevitable. I mean, that's what the whole nerd side kicks in. It's just like when Thanos said, I am inevitable. It's the same thing. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, there's no way to get ahead of it. You can't when politics, because let's be honest, this is all about politics, right? I mean, politics is downstream of culture, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. But it's all about politics. And when the government becomes so large that who's in office can severely swing the culture, then the government is too big, right? So and that leads to reactionaryism, right? Trump's support is largely reactionary, right? It's not that Trump is saying anything right. It's that he's saying the opposite of what those on the left are saying, right? Even though Trump supported gun control, he did all this other stuff, right? That is absolutely not a conservative talking point. They still support him because he's not the left.
Yep.
And he says those things.
It's all about whose team.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all about my team won. That
Mhm.
that's what's gonna that's the rules for the next 4 to 8 years. My team won, so you need to bend your knee to my team.
Yep.
Though it doesn't matter that my team goes against my own beliefs. My team won.
Yep. My
Yeah,
part, my
and
party,
even-
right or wrong. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and even if you point out like the things that Trump said, right, about gun control, he said take the guns first, due process second, and how
Which
he
is
didn't
which
like.
is literally a Trump quote.
Yes, that's a quote. You can watch him on video saying it. Even if you show them video where he says that I don't like silencers. We're gonna look at what we can do to get rid of those. When he bans bump stocks, even when you point all that stuff out, they still will go. Either they will flat out deny that happened, flat out deny that it ever happened. Even if you post the videos of him saying it, they will deny that happened, or they will go the other direction. They will say, well, yeah, but who cares? We don't need bump stocks. We don't need suppressors. Yeah. Those are just accessories. They don't really count. And then when you point out take the guns first, like, well, but I mean, those people are probably dangerous, and that's what.
Congratulations, you're Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah, exactly. That fucking one-eyed pile of fucking shit.
Let's see.
I mean, he was a SEAL, so everyone knew he was going to be a pile of shit. But
I mean, everyone had high hopes, though. Like you thought, like being a SEAL, like, oh, you're going to come back and actually be for the people, and you came back a fucking softer than baby shit, burning pile of shit.
Oh, I mean, only people who never had to work with the SEALs thought that. Anybody who's ever worked with the SEALs is well aware that they are piles of selfish, self-centered, probably a danger to everyone around them and themselves shit. They are fucking terrible. I cannot stand Navy SEALs.
Yeah, we got three paragraphs that will lead to the next talking point. Michael Cargill, who has run Central Texas Gunworks, a gun shop and firearm accessory in Austin, Texas, for more than 10 years. He said the vast majority of his clients are everyday Americans of all backgrounds looking for security. Cargill, who is black and is in a same-sex relationship for more than 20 years. Quote, the new shooters are people that are liberals who are concerned with the threat from the right, from the extremist groups. They're saying, look, we may need to defend ourselves. We may get caught up in something going down the road. This last year, what is it, like I think it's like 5.6 or 6.5 million NICS checks were performed. And like 25 or 30% of all firearms were first-time owners.
Yeah, it's been a huge influx of first-time gun owners to the gun community, and a lot of them are leftists. A lot of them. So, like, who suddenly are changing their tune about guns because suddenly they're realizing in the wake of natural disasters where they're on their own, in the wake of riots and things where they realize the cops said we're not responding and they're on their own.
Not only not responding, but they have no constitutional duty or obligation to respond.
Right, yeah, and they're suddenly finding out about that, and they're suddenly realizing they're on their own. When the chips are down, when push comes to shove, you're completely on your own. Your safety is your responsibility. They're suddenly realizing this, and then now going, oh shit, I need to go get a gun. I need to be able to take care of my family. I need to be able to protect myself.
At 2020. Let's go back to 2020 about the protests, the riots, the looting. What did the police stop? Like, what stopped that? People getting tired and cold weather. Like, the police didn't stop it. Government didn't stop it. Not only did government not stop it, government in some ways encouraged it.
They advocated it.
Because they stopped prosecuting people.
Unless you were right leaning, and then you were prosecuted. But
Sure.
if you were there,
and then
to,
you were still arrested.
If you were there defending property, the chances are you get prosecuted.
yeah,
But if you were burning people's homes to the ground, that was okay.
Yeah, or businesses.
then you had celebrities coming out saying if they were posting people's bonds, which I don't know if that ever followed through, but
yeah,
there were celebrities going on
places.
Twitter and all that. They were like, well, if anyone has been arrested, I'm everyone in this city, I'm fronting their bond to get them released because they were unlawfully arrested and their motive was righteous and stuff like that. I'm like,
well, I mean, I'm not gonna say that there weren't legitimate, peaceful protesters out there.
Yeah,
like,
no.
even though like when they got spicy with the police stations, right, and the police vehicles and things like that, like, cool, okay, fine, do it, that's fine.
Watching that police station burn was very, very nice. It was.
I may or may not have been semi-erect.
Yeah.
But
it was a glorious moment. And it's a glorious moment because that's people standing up against their oppressors. That's what that
was fantastic. I mean, I can make an argument for burning down Target and Walmart and all those stuff because
I can't too. They're big corporations that were built up by big government.
Yes.
So.
But when you're mom and pop, the mom and pop corner store, come on now. You got to be better than that.
That's your community. Why the fuck would you go to your own community and destroy that community? If it's Target, Walmart, they were bailed out by big government. Not only that, I don't necessarily agree with the excuse of, well, they have insurance, but they do have insurance. The people that were let up, that were having to wait to go off of work, I mean, they had like some kind of severance to get them by, or they were relocated to other stores, or they were given overtime to come in and like help rebuild whatever the fuck they needed to do. But the mom and pop shops, they're barely getting by. So when their shit goes up in flames, that's coming out of their pocket. You not only did you backtrack your own movement, you fucked over your community. Like you accomplished nothing burning down a local shop at all.
Yeah, how many? I mean, and like people talk about all the time about like food deserts, right? In big cities and urban areas where you have the poor communities where there are no grocery stores, there's no mom and pop shops selling food, there's no bodegas, there's none of that, right? Like that, there's nothing. And they talk about that. Well, there were, a lot of these communities had one or two tiny little mom and pop shop like bodegas or grocery stores, and then they got burned down. They'll never recover. They created that food desert now. They killed off the businesses that were still serving the community, that were run by people in the community. And who has the money to come in and go, oh, hey, well, we'll go ahead and build something here so you guys can all buy it. Big corporations. All that did is support big corporations that the government is protecting as it is. That's all you managed to do. That's a stupid decision.
Yeah. All right. Last four articles of this paragraph, or last four paragraphs of the article. Shoppers approached outside the Atlanta gun show said they had never seen any advertising or recruitment by extremist ghosts at gun shows or any others.
Yep.
RK Shows Incorporated, the organizers of the Atlanta Gun Show, did not respond to the request for comment. Two young men, one white, one black, packed multiple bulletproof vests and handguns into the back of their vehicle. They said they paid no attention to politics and have been interested in guns since they were little. They would not give their names. Shortly afterwards, security guards approached the USA Today reporter and ejected him from the grounds with a stern warning not to return. So, yeah.
I think it's funny that the article ends after all of that with, and then everybody there was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. That was like just that little tip, and it's at the very end of the article, which, like, I mean, who's gonna read down all the way that far? That was a long article, and there's a lot that I skipped in the article. Like, I'm not gonna talk about the Turner Diaries and all that other bullshit.
Yeah, that's why all that filler's in there, is because they felt obligated to mention what they, having interviewed these people, but they nonetheless wanted to make sure that as few people as possible actually saw it.
You know who that middle person is, right?
I was gonna say, oh, look at that, even though it's out of focus still. Oh,
it's definitely out of focus.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah.
But
Even
that was
though it was out of focus, we know who that was.
that was the homie Magnus.
Yep.
R.I.P.
Oh, he's still around.
No, I know he is, but Twitter is like,
They hate him.
Twitter has killed off his original
Yeah.
page, and
Yeah.
they keep going after him. But it's funny, they keep using photos where Magnus is in it like all the time, which is why he's the guy that always gets talked to and everything. And it's so funny that these same news articles are like, oh, the Boogaloo is white supremacist and and hyper conservative and all these things, and then you have Magnus as the guy that you keep putting up as the poster child.
you're not doing what you're hoping to do.
Yeah, you are not going to get the information that you're hoping.
But yeah,
for
that's it. Yeah, that is Magnus in the middle. Same person
there
in
we go.
Black Lives Matter sweater. Magnus, our gayest friend. Just putting that out there. He's a gay left. So
yeah, and mixed race, as I recall, too. Like he's. It's a white supremacist hyper conservative movement. Here's the poster child of it, the gay mixed race leftist.
And then they also use a picture of the NFAC and
the
remember
NFAC, like
the guys that shot each other in the ass.
Well, and there's that video from the NFAC where they're using the GoPro on the front of of one of their ARs to film one of their friends.
There's the live from Grandmaster J, and the bolt goes forward, trying to justify the accidental shootings.
Yeah, like it just oh man. But yeah, that video where they're using the flashlight and GoPro on the front of an AR to videotape other people shooting, which means that they're pointing the barrel of the AR directly at their friends repeatedly. Like, come on, guys. This is gun safety one. What are you doing? What just the NFAC is such a fucking joke. Like, I had high hopes, and then they're fucking joke.
There still could be potential there. It just needs to be retaught.
Well, there's a lot of potential. Okay, the extremists that they talk about in this article, they do exist, right? This is not a a scapegoat, but the extremists exist, and there's a lot of potential for a good propagandist to come in and to unite like all these people and to get them all on the same page. And there's a real potential with this sort of fear mongering. Something like Sam Adams. If you remember Samuel Adams, one of the from the founding fathers, huge propagandist. People don't understand that he was a huge propagandist. He lied a lot in terms of enticing people into the populist movement of the time. Right, which was the resistance.
Lied seems like a extreme. He stretched things and spun them in a.
He's a propagandist. He's a propagandist. You can say it.
Oh, he was definitely. Sam Adams was definitely a propagandist. I mean, the man is one of my favorite founding fathers because the dude owned a pub and leveraged the shit out of that to get everybody a little intoxicated and then whip them into a frenzy and then convince them that they needed to go do things like. That's glorious. That is masterful in the way that he did that. And the reality is the United States wouldn't exist without guys like that. It simply wouldn't.
But again, the potential is there. Not in this article. This article's trash. But in reality, the potential is there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and one of the big things is, like, remember when it comes to the revolution, the newspaper articles, right? Like you had the Silas Dogood letters and you had all these, anonymous opinion columns and stuff. Yeah. And you had Thomas Paine's Common Sense being published and you had a lot of this mass communication happening and that was good. And, and Thomas Paine is my favorite founding father. He ultimately, when he died, almost no one came to his funeral. I think there was like 4 people there and stuff because he broke with the rest of the founding fathers because he's like, why did we put another government in place? But these guys, the main genesis of the revolution was at a local scale. It was people meeting each other. It was people talking to each other. It was interactions and neighbors talking to neighbors. And it was that thing, that connection, that human connection with people in person doing these things. And the fact that you can intercept in-person communication, right? Like that, it's not a letter. It's not a coded news article that somebody might see. This is in person. That's what foments the revolution. It was fomented in bars and pubs and roadhouses. Like that is where the revolution was born. It was people interacting with each other in person. And I think a lot of the liberty movement has missed out on that. And we're so focused on a lot of the online stuff that we forget what talking to people in person can really do.
And you got to keep in mind too, when you talk to people in person, if you're for the liberty movement, you have to talk to these people that have no real understanding of what the liberty movement is. You have to talk to them as an actual human being, and you have to keep that civil manner, because there's so many people that are in the movement that treat other people like shit if they have different opposing views. I was one of those people. I had to take a step back and realize that how I was presenting myself and how I was presenting topics was, I mean, it was a lot to take in, and like it was not very eye appealing, and nobody wanted to hear that. So now I try to ask questions of what their views are, and then I try to ask them questions on what it's gonna contradict what they believe in, and then I give them my viewpoint, and then we go from there. And there's a few people I've been able to get to, or it's at least made them think, and they've changed how they answer to things when it comes to the whole liberty movement. And I feel accomplished when I do that, instead of just berating people and belittling them and all that. But the minute, if I try to be civil with you and you're a complete raging asshole to me, then the gloves are off. Then we're going to go tit for tat for this. And I promise you, I'm going to win this at the end.
Well, and even if you're civil, you can get that. Because you are challenging people's very much core beliefs, right? Like, I actually had one of my ex-wife's cousins literally throw a lit cigarette into my face as I was talking about the reality of cops, because I'm challenging core beliefs that she holds. And when I pointed out how wrong she was about things, her reaction wasn't to continue to debate or anything. It was to literally throw a lit cigarette into my face. I mean, you got to be prepared for that if you're going to do it in person, because some people are going to react very violently and very nastily. But because that anonymization isn't there anymore, that you get online where it's in person and they can see your sincerity, like see it and experience it in person and understand things, it's much harder for people to reject you in person. That's like a basic sales principle, right? Like why face-to-face sales always work better is because it's much harder for people to say no in person than it is on the phone or online. So it's that human connection, being able to meet with those people, being able to talk to them in person and do these in-person meetings is huge, because it means that they're more likely to actually listen to what you're saying and process it and not just reject it immediately. They can't just change the channel if you're standing in front of them in person.
Yeah, just be human. That's all it is. Just be human. Like most people, they aren't anarchists or libertarians, right? Even most anarchists or libertarians aren't anarchists or libertarians, right? They're still left right. They're just disenfranchised with the current existence of the left right. Right, so they don't necessarily buy into the anarchist and libertarian ideologies, and most never will, because they don't want to continue their education down that path. Right, so a lot of them get locked into this angry phase. They get locked into this frustration because they can't do anything. And if you can approach them just as like, you don't even have to talk politics. Like if you go up and talk football, you can approach them and build a rapport around football, and then use that as a bridge to talk to other people or to talk to them about other things. So bridging is a huge underutilized.
And that's movement. I mean, in the to reference the Bible, the Apostle Paul says, I become all things to all people to deliver the message, right? And the example of that is when he's meeting with these Romans and he sees they have this temple where it's to the unknown god, because the Romans had gods for everything, and they even had a just in case we forgot one so that we don't offend him, we're gonna have this little temple for the unknown one, and he used that and leveraged that, and that's a big thing, is using that leverage, using that connection. If somebody's complaining about the cops and like, oh, and they're very anti-cop because they're like, oh, look at all these people that they're killing and what they're doing to the people of color, and but you can leverage that and develop that into that conversation of, well, yeah, because they're enforcing what the government has to say, and see, this is why government is dangerous, this is why we need to reject the ideas that somebody has authority over us. You can leverage that very, very easily and turn it into a conversation about anarchism, a conversation about voluntarism, this conversation about freedom. And it's the same thing with if they're super conservative and they're very pro-gun, and you can use that conversation and be like, hey, it's and they're coming after your guns, and why do you think they're doing that? And then go from there, using and that's something you can't really necessarily do online, because you're not going to find out enough about that person in your online interaction. But in person, your next door neighbors, those people. I mean, my next door neighbor over here, he was flying a Trump 2020 flag. He and I, after Trump lost and things, had a bunch of conversations, and now he has a black Gadsden flag flying instead. So I'm just going to point out, like, it works, man. Like, you can change people's minds and use current events and things when you talk to them in person, when they know you and know that you're sincere. And if you're seeing them regularly, it gives you that regular opportunity to constantly just like plant those little seeds, man. Plant those little seeds. An oak tree grows from a tiny little acorn. So plant that little seed, and it will grow as long as you support it and you continue to water it and make it grow.
Oh. There you go.
There you go. That's the verse I was referencing.
Yeah. That's the you guys want to move on to something else?
Sure.
I got one from Denver about ghost guns and how I'm just gonna do it. Denver activists worry ghost gun law includes new penalties for protesters. Let's see.
Protesters?
Yes. Several Denver activists are concerned about a portion of the city's new ghost gun law that addresses crowd dispersal techniques used by police officers during protests. What they have to do with each other, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm very confused right now.
Yes. Under Denver's new law, ghost gun owners could end up with $1,000 fine. Quote, it could also possibly be punishable by up to 300 days in jail. That's according to Bronson, who's the district attorney or the city attorney. Quote, there are a number of other cities and states that passed ghost gun legislation similar to ours. We were really inspired by the Biden administration's announcement in the spring that we're going to be rolling out a number of incentives to try and close the ghost gun loophole and try to really tackle the problem of trafficking and ghost guns.
Ghost gun loophole.
Yeah,
because whenever the law doesn't absolutely dictate your everyday behavior, they call it a loophole.
Yes. Denver's city council passed the ghost gun bill with a 10-1 vote. Candy DeBaca was the only council member to vote against the legislation. So let's see. Where's it at?
I have every anticipation that the FTC is going to be suing the shit out of them over this.
Yeah. Quote, the pieces of legislation that weren't talked about were the pieces about reorganizing the code, the weapons code, basic criminalizing youth a little bit more. Quote, I think this emerged from the protest. People had an umbrella, or they had their airsoft guns, or they had other things to protect themselves from pepper spray that was being deployed by the police officers, and now that bill made all of that a crime. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now I understand where the concern is.
Yes. Hold
now
on.
I get it.
Yeah. The portion of the legislation DeBaca and Bronson referred to can be found on page 6 of the law and reads, quote, "It shall be unlawful for any person except for law enforcement officer or a person acting with valid authorization from the city to possess on their person any item, weapon, or noxious substance with the intent to use the weapon, item, or 22 noxious substances for the purpose of defeating crowd dispersal measures."
Right. So the included in it is other improvised weapons for defense, because this is blatantly an attack on the ability to defend yourself with or without government authorization.
Yes.
So they've included things that people have historically used during protests to defend themselves from government agents, blatantly making this about attacking your right to defend yourself from government agents.
Yeah. Activist Lindsay Minter said she is also concerned about the inclusion of this language. Quote, "I think it's sneaky and I think it directly impacts how we as protesters and activists and organizers defend ourselves when we're standing up for our rights." She said the word item gives officers a lot of discretion.
Gosh, does it?
Yes.
So technically, under the law, this is considered illegal. This is a gas mask sitting in here, by the way.
Yeah, it's an item.
This is an item to defeat the tear gas.
Remember, they used road cones, right? They would put a road cone over the tear gas, pour water in it to knock it down. That
in Hong Kong.
They also did that in Baltimore and Chicago, I believe. They also used umbrellas, to block spray. All this other stuff, like in this case, like a medic's kit. A medic's kit can be considered an item that is being used to stop, the crowd dispersal, right? Somebody gets pepper sprayed, medic runs over there, washes out their eyes and helps them. That medic kit is now technically an item that is being used.
This is, this is blatantly like normal. This is an example of them finally feeling like they have shifted things enough that they can say the quiet parts out loud, which we keep seeing, right? Where the quiet parts keep getting said out loud by them, where they keep going, also we do want to take your guns. Oh, by the way, we also want to do this. They're starting to say things that were always implied, that those of us who were conspiracy theorists always pointed out were the implications of what they were doing with their legislation. They're now to the point where they're unafraid to blatantly say, yes, our attack on your ability to make your own weapons is an attack on your ability to defend yourself from government agents.
They used a bill attacking the second to attack the first.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
Don't worry, though. We're all conspiracy theorists for saying that the second protects the first.
Yeah. No. I don't know. I don't understand what that has to do with the ghost gun bill, but it was included.
Yeah, because again, it's the point of the ghost gun bill is to keep you from being able to manufacture your own weaponry at home that the government doesn't know about, that you can then use to defend yourself from government agents in the event of some sort of an uprising that you then need to defend yourself from the government agents. That's the point of the anti-ghost gun legislation, is that.
Yep.
So they're also now starting to include things that make it even more blatantly obvious that that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, fun times, huh?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of this in the next couple of years, where they're starting to do that, where they're starting to throw this language against protesters and against protests into these bills like this.
The Florida bill, the DeSantis bill, the one that Magnus rallies about all the time. It was similar to that in the protest aspect, but it was so large that it literally covered anything. Like, 4 guys playing basketball can be considered, a riot or, an unlawful assembly. It's
an attack on
it's-
lawful assembly, on peaceable assembly, which is a blatant attack on the First Amendment,
well,
which is what we've been saying for years. For years, as Second Amendment supporters, that was what the point of the Second Amendment was.
yeah, but we're conspiracy theories, guys. Yeah. Jack says the TV would tell if it was tyranny, guys. It's not time to use or possess firearms. In fact, go to the devil and only demons are. Oh, Jack.
Yeah, clearly.
Such
Ricky,
a naughty little minx.
Bobby Boucher, you been playing with damn guns again? Guns is the devil.
No, so, all right, you guys want to cover this last article, and then we'll talk about we're nerds here, right? All 3 of us nerds. We're all about Starlink.
I don't know about that, but
well, I mean, I am. I'm a pretty big fan of Elon Musk. He's pretty awesome. I'm a big fan of him.
Did you hear about the big problem with Starlink? Starlink self-feeding internet satellite dishes are attracting cats. Yes.
Who are themselves an ecological disaster, even at the best of times.
SpaceX's Starlinks have been making steady gains with its fledgling satellite internet service, surpassing 100,000 terminals in 2021 and showing promising improvement in performance after initial speed tests produced lackluster results. However, the company's run into the unforeseen hiccup with its dishes. Cats love them. Quote, Starlink works great until the cats find out that the dish gives off a little heat on cold days.
If I fits, I sits.
The recent image of 5 cats huddled together on top of a Starlink dish went viral. In the photo, the Starlink dish is installed at the ground level and surrounded by snow, as noted by Tesla and SpaceX news outlet. The dish's snow melt mode may be to blame. Launched in 2020, the feature enables the dish to use self-heating capabilities to prevent snow buildup from interfering with the signal, and apparently providing a toasty outdoor lounge space for critters.
Well, yeah, it's the perfect space for a cat. You've given them a little bowl to cuddle up in that's also warm.
Yeah.
If they're a stray cat, they're obviously...
I mean, I don't think your signal's going to go through that. I'm just out there.
Goddamn cats.
Cats are anarchists. They give no fucks.
I know but I mean, the reality is that stray cats and like outdoor cats are an ecological disaster. They're murder machines, and they wipe out a lot of native species, a lot of places, and they also apparently interfere with your internet. And when it's cold, if you have Starlink, so add that to the list of why you should keep your fucking cat inside.
Get it up off the ground or something, man. But
I just,
I thought that was hilarious and had to share.
Yeah, that's the ultimate cat thing, isn't it? Like, oh, hey, this is warm and appears to be important to someone. I should
it has a self-heating mode to melt snow. So it's literally like a warming pad.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they sit there? God damn it. Unintended consequences, man. That's what that is. That's unintended consequences summed up in real world. Where
someone's gonna get a homeless person sitting in their satellite dish.
Go out there with my grilled cheese and cook up some grilled cheese on my Starlink.
Can't imagine you walk out there and you're like, hey, you're blocking my internet. Get out of my house.
You're gonna walk around there like you're trying to either stream or you're trying to just fucking look something up on the internet. You're like, well, it's fucking running slow. Let me go look outside and walk around. There's a fucking homeless barbecue block party at your fucking satellite dish. Like to.
Oh, I'm trying to record a podcast, and you look outside and there's your issues. There's cats sleeping in the internet dish.
Well, there's, you know, what's funny about that too is that the older school communications uplinks that they used to use used microwaves, right? And they would use high intensity microwaves to communicate. And I just
got huge like Alf vibes. It cooks the cat while I'm looking up the recipe.
Yeah, exactly. The Arctic teams. I've heard a couple stories from Arctic teams that went to the Antarctic that they would actually take the antennas and aim them at each other and sit in between them when it was really, really cold to warm up a little bit. And there was a Darwin Award issued not long ago because somebody apparently did it and the intensity was too much and they actually cooked themselves sitting in between the two. Oops.
God, Jack. I have to show you.
That's accurate.
I'm not even reading out loud.
Nothing can quite screw things up and ruin your life.
All right. I don't have anything else, you guys. I only got those few articles and I'm exhausted.
Hey, we're done a half. I don't think we should be done a half hour early. I mean, I could have ranted more, I guess.
No, I know. We said we weren't gonna do that to him. We said we
no. What you said, yeah, what you said was you were gonna find an article to really piss me off that I was gonna want to rant about and give him control over the mute button for me, so that I couldn't mute myself or I couldn't unmute myself.
And I was supposed to come through a portal with a Spider-Man suit on to do so.
Are you challenging me? Because I can find something.
There's a lot that's pissed me off in the past, like,
well, I don't have time to
weeks, so
I don't have time to put on the suit, so that's gonna have to be for another.
River Dave arrested after returning to live at the cabin site.
Oh, that one pisses me off. There you go. That one. Leave Dave alone.
Nick, you know about River Dave?
No.
Okay, River Dave. He's a hermit in New Hampshire that was living on this piece of property. Had a cabin, had a shed, had wood stove, living on this piece of property for like 30 years or something. Right, just completely off the grid. Like nobody knew he was there. And then some do-gooder, saw him in the woods one day.
And the previous property owner knew he was there. He had been given permission by the previous property owner to set up camp there, and he had built like his own little homestead out there. And the previous property owner had basically said, like, hey, as long as you're not hurting anything, I don't care. And so he'd been there. New property owner finds out he's there.
Somebody snitched him out, a do-gooder. Snitched him out, and the new property owner's like, who doesn't even live there. It's like a property for logging. Like they're literally just growing trees, waiting for them to get it big enough so that they can go log them. So the new property owner's like, no, fuck you, I don't care, get off my property. So there's like this back and forth social media thing, some legal stuff, and eventually what happens is Dave gets arrested. Like, they go out to the cabin, they arrest Dave, they take him to jail. That same night he gets arrested, the cabin burns down
mysteriously.
Mysteriously the cabin burns down. So Dave's back and forth. He gets out of jail and he's like goes and live with his sister in Vermont. There's a big GoFundMe and a bunch of money raised. And Dave's like, okay, moving on with my life. Well, apparently Dave missed the place and he went back to the land and moved into a shed that did not burn down. And they came out and they rearrested a 81-year-old man because he was living off the grid on someone else's land.
God forbid.
Well, and the property owner, if I remember right, lives like 1,500 miles away. He has
like in Ohio or some bullshit.
Yeah, he has nothing to do with the property at all. He's never even been to the property himself ever. He bought it specifically for lumber speculation, and the people who discovered him were like doing exploration for planned eventual logging. So there's not even any actual plans to do anything with the property that he's on. It's literally just sitting there unused. Nothing's happening with it. like, you know, and I told Lindsay the other night when I was talking to her about this, when I saw this article that he was rearrested, I said, you know, I used to be an ANCAP, but increasingly shit like this is pushing me to sterner, god damn it. And I don't know that I'm happy about that, but increasingly I'm starting to go, are you fucking kidding me? Like, he's there. His labor has mixed with that land, right? Like, he developed it. He built this stuff. He's built a small garden. He's been hunting it, fishing it. He's been doing these things, chopped trees,
chopped his own firewood completely off the grid.
Yep, all of this stuff. He's been doing this. He's been homesteading this property. The property owner paid money to get a document issued by the government that says that it's his. And that's why it's his property. And so now he's fucking with a man who was hurting no one, who interfered with no one, who was
81 years old, living off the grid. And they're like, no.
And now, and now they just keep taking him to jail. Who in society is that serving? Who is that helping?
Yep.
In what way is that improving anyone's life at all? Interfering with this man. He's not hurting anyone.
He's helping. He's stewarding the land.
Yeah, he's clearing, like, if that's my property and some dude wants to live out on it and I'm never going to have anything to do with it, I'm like, hey, man, just keep it, you know, clear and manage the forest, you know, make sure that, like, deadfall gets cleared out and stuff. And as long as you're not hurting anything,
to, like, if you're on my land, like, contribute to it. I mean, I'm fine with it. Like,
I mean, realistically, if you're a property owner who owns large amounts of land, or you own land that you're barely ever on, you're only on maybe once a year to hunt or something, and somebody wants to move out there, it would be entirely reasonable and understandable. Just go, hey, if you want to live out there, you know, off grid, go for it. And your rent will be you continue to manage the property and take care of it, and understand that once a year, you're going to need to make sure that you're not like wandering around the woods without an orange vest on, because I'm going to be out there hunting. Okay, fine. Everybody's good. Everybody wins in that scenario. But instead, this guy wants to be a fucking douchebag about it and keep kicking this poor guy off of his property that really, I would argue, is that guy's property. I would argue that River Dave owns that chunk of land because he is the one who has mixed his labor with that land. He is the one who has worked it.
That's insane. I didn't know anything about that.
So... yeah, New Hampshire.
And that's the live free or die state. Well, apparently, if you try to live free, they're going to try and make you die.
So, I'm tapped out, you guys. I don't have anything else.
Got
anything you want
to cover?
You got anything you want to cover, Nick?
No, off the top of my head, my brain's slightly fried too. So,
am I the only one who isn't fried?
Well, when you show up late, you're not going to be fried.
Oh!
Not only did I show up late, but I've been drinking tequila this entire time, and I'll have you know I am less fried than both of you. So, because I'm a goddamn grunt, and that is how we are built. I could go do PT right now. I mean, not because of my knees, but mentally, I am totally prepared to be like, fuck it, let's do this shit. Like,
mentally, I'm not even sure what day it is. No.
What day is it? Do you remember that? Do you remember Brack on Space Coast? Coast to Coast? Yeah, with Brack with his what day is it? What day is it? Could you tell me, please? Like, I felt that way throughout 2020, like, constantly. And I wasn't even on lockdown. Like, I had to work through all of the lockdowns because I work in finance, which means I'm an essential industry. So I'm at work every single day. And because at the time I didn't have any employees, it was just me. I literally had to work every single day. Like, if I wasn't there, the store wasn't open. So I worked the whole time, every single day.
You want a cookie?
All day. You know, I would like a bonus. Like, that'd be cool. I mean, I got a raise. I'll give you that. I got over $1 an hour raise, so that was cool. But the fact that, like, all these people, like, oh, it's so horrible. I'm so scared of COVID and blah blah blah. And then they were like locked down for like 6 months, and they stayed home the whole time. And it's like, dude, I'm not even remotely scared of COVID, and I literally worked through the entire thing, like the whole time I was working.
I'm just getting over it. I'm just getting over COVID. I had it for the last week, and
it wasn't so bad, was it? You ain't dead.
You ain't dead. But did you die?
Yeah, but did you die?
Twice.
Twice.
I died on the inside.
Oh, that's called diarrhea.
I will say COVID made me die on the inside a little bit because I had just purchased a big ass bag of Skittles and a bottle of Mountain Dew Voodoo, which
and you lost your
like
taste.
Skittles. Yeah, and I lost my sense of taste, so I took a drink of the Mountain Dew Voodoo, which tastes like liquid Skittles, and I took a drink. I'm like, I can tell this is sweet. Oh God, no, I can't taste it. No, please.
Nope, I still have my taste. And smell.
Oh, it's so mad. Well, and on top of that too, because of the way COVID like messes with you, you can't drink alcohol. It makes your symptoms worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I also couldn't drink. So like I'm stuck at home for 14 days and I can't drink at all because it will make me sicker. That's hell. That right there, that is hell. Like I can't taste candy. I can't drink alcohol. There's nothing but sitting there like drinking orange juice that I can't taste,
and you had it in
noodle
the
soup
middle
that I can't taste.
You had it in the middle of summer too, right? Or late summer?
I had it. Early summer. I had it in early summer, late spring, and that was absolutely horrid because I'm just like nothing. I get to enjoy absolutely nothing. I can't go outside and enjoy that. I can't. I even sitting at home, like, what am I gonna do all day except like try and watch daytime TV and YouTube videos? Like I caught up completely on Forgotten Weapons and In Range, but I mean that was nice. As well as Time Ghost. And if you don't follow Time Ghost on YouTube, you guys are missing out. It's awesome, stuff. India is fantastic.
I watched more Hulu in the last week than I did all of last year combined.
Oh man, yeah, just hit up YouTube, hit up Time Ghost. I'm a member of the Time Ghost Army, and I'm on their Patreon for like $45 a month or something. And
fucking nerd.
It's absolutely worth it. It's so cool. They do real-time history. So like for World War II, they do weekly reports as if it's kind of like news. Weekly on what happened in World War II. They started with the Great War, where they did that for World War I. Every single week they went through the entire war exactly 100 years later to the day, and they went through it all. And now they're doing World War II. They've also done the Cuban Missile Crisis. They've done a couple other things that are really cool. Their War on Humanity special series for World War II is very, very good. It's got Spartacus. Sparty's super cool too. I love Sparty. But he also talks about a lot of the stuff, and that's actually a big thing that I think people, especially anarchists, should watch, is the War on Humanity series, because it talks about exactly what the human toll of the Nazi regime and the fascist regime in Italy and the fascist regime in Spain and in World War II in general, and like a lot of those things, it talks about that really, really well, where you really get a peek inside authoritarianism and what its ultimate ends are in a very human way that is extremely upsetting very frequently to see exactly what the state is truly capable of, what they can really do. It's really horrible.
Kazakhstan saying 164 people were killed in the last week and 5,800 detained.
That doesn't surprise me. Watching those government buildings in Kazakhstan burn was glorious. I'm like, the Simpsons thing, the smack to the back of that's how you do a revolution.
Good insurrection.
Yeah, that's.
They said that demonstrations only quelled after they threatened to shoot demonstrators on sight and the arrival of Russian troops.
Yeah, I know. Putin had said he was going to be sending troops in.
Yeah, sent tanks.
Yes, he did. He sent tanks. He sent Spetsnaz, as I recall.
Those are not peacekeepers. They don't play defense.
Oh yeah, they were not good.
All right, now that we've been banned on Russian websites,
Jack mentioned like history lessons, and if you want a history lessons, because a few days ago was January 6th, right? And January 6th, they keep saying, "Oh, it's the worst thing that ever happened to in the U.S. Capitol. It was the
worst
biggest
thing
threat
since 9/11."
Yeah, the biggest threat to our democracy there's ever been." Which means that they forget that in 1812, the U.S. Capitol building was burned to the ground on September, that was, kind of a big thing that Britain burned the Capitol to the ground, which I think is a bigger threat to the American government. They also forget more recently, the big ones that I pointed out. July 2nd, 1915, former German professor at Harvard, Erich Munter, planted a package containing 3 sticks of dynamite in the Capitol near the Senate reception room. It detonated around midnight when the Senate was on recess. That blew a big chunk out of the Capitol building. March 1st, 1954, when the 4 Puerto Rican separatists walked in and shot up the House of Representatives, injuring 5 congressmen. Exactly, the same day later, March 1st, 1971, was when the Weather Underground bombed Congress. And caused about $300,000 in damage. And then 13 years later, November 7th, 1983, a bomb also blew up on the 2nd floor of the Senate wing of the Capitol. No one was harmed, but it caused an estimated $250,000 in damage. That was the Armed Resistance Unit that claimed responsibility and retaliation for Grenada and Lebanon.
This is what happens when we don't head them off. We just let them go.
Well, there was the famous shooting 1890 in the Capitol between a reporter and a congressman, which is still one of the greatest stories I've ever read, where there's a shootout between a newspaper reporter and a congressman in the Capitol. So that's also cool. There's also 98, a man who claimed that the U.S. was plagued by cannibalism and some sort of fictional disease, killed 2 Capitol police officers. All of that, like, people actually died. There were actual shootings. There was actual bombs. There's like real things happening. And they're still claiming that January 6th was this greatest threat to the Capitol. No one has ever attacked the Capitol.
Because they're propagandists.
Yeah. My favorite point in the January 6th thing, by the way, is that woman that got Mace sobbing. She goes, "It's a revolution." Yeah, okay. Oh, good times. Good times.
Yeah. Revolution AF.
As we all know, all revolutionaries are supported by Meemaw. And
yeah. You still with us, Nick?
My camera's all fucked up. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well.
Bouncing in and out. It's all right. We're about wrapped up anyway, so throw out your plugs again, and we'll get out of here.
Like I said, won't find me on Facebook because I usually get perma bans and have to make a new profile, so don't worry about it there. But if you're ever interested in getting to know me or more of my podcast on the network I'm on, you can find me at the Redacted Okie. I go on the Not a Real Libertarian Podcast Network. I have Mondays for my show, the Not a Real Liberty Luau, at 6 p.m. Central. Find us on Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. If you want to watch the video, go on the actual website, which is Not a Real Pod. You can also get merchandise there. I don't have any there, so but you can always check it out. We also have other shows that go on throughout the week. But other than that, I am rebranding my show. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. At some point, I will be also probably branching off into doing my own podcast on my own times. Just don't know when, and I don't know a name yet. But when I figure it out, it will be posted, and everyone will receive a link. These two fine gentlemen, degenerates, whichever they prefer.
I don't see any. What are you talking about?
Degenerates, yes.
Degenerates, yes.
I'm sure they will definitely be one of a reoccurring guest that I will have on my show, just because we've actually hit it off ever since they came on my show originally, and they also like to bully me on Instagram, or not Instagram, but Twitter. To come on their show. So yeah, we're gonna do it that way. I got bullied, but no, this has been really fun. Minus my camera being all fucked off. So
yeah, I wish I didn't feel bad. Like I'm just COVID. I'm exhausted still. So we'll have to do it again. At
for
some
sure.
point.
Absolutely.
We'll make Andrew wear a funny mask or funny hat or something.
I have a bunch of funny hats. I have a ton of funny hats. I love hats, man.
Well,
like you can kind of see it off camera a little bit. I have all these
right.
hats
We're not
here.
talking about. Stop.
So
we're
many
not talking
hats.
About
so many.
Throw out your plugs, Andrew, so we get out of here.
If you want to care for your beard like a Viking, like I do, and keep it soft, keep it shiny, keep it wonderful, you're going to go to thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15 to get 15% off of your entire order, and you also get to support me. They have fantastic scents, including their new platinum scents, and I personally prefer the gold ones. Odin's Virtue is definitely my favorite. It's apple, cinnamon, oud wood. It's great. It smells so fantastic, and it makes your beard feel great. Also, be sure to read Derica's book, Think for Yourself, Critical Thinking Workbook for Beginners. That's available on Amazon. It's like $10. It's awesome. Use it with your kids. Do some homeschooling. Don't let the enemy continue to educate your kids. Also, check out our boy Dave over at Poppins Patches. He's got some cool stuff, including the new one with the he's got the ATF red coat. He makes the Boogaloo Shark one that I have on right now. He makes a ton of other ones that are absolutely fantastic. Lots of references to 90s stuff and nerd culture and things that are these cool crossovers. He's also got his latest one that is a skateboard, and it says don't bring a skateboard to a gunfight. You guys know what reference that is. Absolutely awesome. You should definitely support him because he supports the show. He sends me cool patches to give away and things, and it's definitely super cool. Do we have anything else that I need to promo?
God, no. Hopefully, no, we don't.
I don't think so. I think that's everything. If you'd like to support me, please hit me up on Twitter. You can find me at Inked Anarchist on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at Inked Anarchist. You can find me on Getter Inked Anarchist. You can find me on MeWe
Instagram
Inked Anarchist. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me most social media platforms except for Facebook because I got permazucked from Facebook and just don't care enough to try and get back. So, which is also why I don't have an Oculus because apparently you need Facebook for Oculus, I found out.
Yeah. So, all right. Any last thoughts? No. Nick, give us a piece of life of advice.
Don't do blow out of a dirty hooker's ass. Actually, she's out of the shower. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah,
that makes sense. So, all right. On that note, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.